Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Lorenzato. Sorry about your poison oak rash. Miserable situation. Let's talk management first. Even though it feels really good to take a hot shower, it may just make the inflammation worse. So in general, I recommend cold is good, hot packs, ice in a plastic bag with water, that'll make it feel better. Non-sedating antihistamines that are over the counter, including loratadine at 10 milligrams a day, same thing as Claritin, or Zyrtec, cetirizine, or Allegra, fexofenadine, all of those are very beneficial. Sedating antihistamines like diphenhydramine or Benadryl actually are more effective, but they've got the sedating aspect to them. And avoidance of histamine-rich foods is a very great necessity. Particular foods, for some people, red wines, champagne, beef jerky, strawberries, things like this. You can just now go to the internet, type in histamine-rich foods and get a list or list of histamine-rich foods and avoid those. Drying the skin out right after you have, or cleaning the skin out right after you've been exposed. If you can, you should wash this off with warm soapy water. Soapy water at least, and the sooner you do it, the better off. Also cleaning other things that may have gotten the molecule on it, and like your clothes, the car seat, whatever makes good sense. Most people with moderate or severe rash from poison oak will use topical steroids and take oral steroids. We'll go into why. Over-the-counter remedies for washing this off are frequently a little bit better than soap and water because they have surfactants, and you may find one you particularly like. Urushiol is the molecule that is responsible for the antigenic or immune system response. Urushiol is like benzene with 2 carbons on it. It's catechol with a tail 15 to 17 carbons long. This 15 to 17 carbon long tail, depending upon the number of double bonds, will determine the amount of reaction that you have to it most likely. Most of the urushiol is absorbed very rapidly within 10 minutes of exposure to the poison oak. Now, the urushiol can be on the leaves, the stem, on any part of the plant, and the plant may not have leaves when you come in contact with it. If the plant is more disturbed, if it's been cut, slashed, or if you hit it in the process or break it, it creates an environment where more urushiol is released. So therefore, undisturbed poison oak, barely touched, is not the problem of recently cut poison oak that you brush against. The urushiol, when it hits the skin, is a hapten, meaning it will bind with a protein. The combination of the hapten and the protein together create an immune response where dendritic cells, which are part of your immune system in the skin, recognize this and take this to the lymph nodes, where communication with T cells, T lymphocytes, will create a significant immune response. That inflammatory immune response includes tumor necrosis factor alpha and various interleukins, and can be suppressed, fortunately, by steroids and other immune modulators. The urushiol that is most potent in causing a reaction is a 15 carbon saturated variety of the molecule. And it is said perhaps that if you burn poison oak at a very high temperature, you won't get any of this, but in a smoldering fire, it can be actually produced. So be cautious. The rash is generally very itchy, red, blistering, and swelling. It likes places like the fossa or the hollow between under the arm or between the forearm and the upper arm. It is mostly defined as itching and aggravating. Contributing to a more severe rash include damage to the plant, as I've described, not washing the urushiol off as quickly as possible, not washing clothing, blankets, and surfaces like the car seats and things like this. A history of prior exposure and a significant rash will most likely make your immune response much more severe. Eating histamine-rich foods will make your immune response more severe. And secondary bacterial infections from scratching blisters or opening blisters, which should just be left to themselves, can create secondary staphylococcus infections that need either topical antibiotics or oral antibiotics, or at least good washing with soap and water. The adult treatment for moderate and severe poison oak includes a high-potency topical steroid, moderate to high potency, of which there are several different classes, as well as systemic corticosteroids, generally prednisone. Tacrolimus is an interleukin-2 inhibitor, a moderator of the immune system. For those individuals that cannot tolerate steroids, it can be beneficial. It is generally used for patients who have had transplants of organs to lower the likelihood of transplant rejection. It is very expensive. We will go over the classes of topical steroids. Now, beclomethasone, dipropionate, and clobetasol are both good topical steroids, as well as triamcinolone. I will probably write you for one of these three. They should be applied as either a cream or an ointment at once or twice a day, depending upon how I gauge the severity of your problem and how the script therefore is written. You should know that the chronic use of steroids is not suggested because they can truly thin the skin and they have a prolonged effect that is undesirable. So they can be used for the 2 or 3 weeks that you encounter this rash, but you should not continue with them. Here's an example on the slide of the prednisone prescription I might write. Prednisone, as a steroid, can inhibit your natural steroids that you make. So therefore, there may be some side effects that are significant but transient, including the side effects may be fluid accumulation. You may get puffy or edematous. You may have insomnia, and you may feel more stressed. So you can attribute many factors, emotional swings to these if you feel them at the time, and you should be aware that they are probably attributed to the prednisone. You'll see here that these are tapered doses. I will start at a higher dose and taper them over the next 3 weeks. Very good. Sorry for your miserable rash. Do as we've said. Try to avoid it in the future, the best possible solutions, and see you here for other things. Bye.